Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast, Season 3. Is it episode 5?
5.
Episode 5, time's flying by. Today's February 16th?
15th.
15th. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, probably. And tonight on the Elk Season Podcast.
Yeah, we freeze-dried meals come up again. All right?
Yeah, and not in a bad way.
The wolf economy. It's something about the wolf economy. What does that mean? And Ukraine shows up. Hunting conservation in Idaho's got some interesting stuff. A little bit about gear. And you know what? In-N-Out Burger has a cameo. Sort of. Other than that, that's what we got for you. All that and a little bit more tonight. Elk Season Podcast.
Should we just start going? Are you ready for me to start going?
Yeah.
How many days till Elk Season?
Dang it. I actually meant to have that pulled up before, and I totally forgot to do it.
All right.
You pulled up right when I was going to do that,
okay.
So it's your fault, technically.
Technically. It usually is. I don't mind. I've done worse things.
So I'm getting there. Days until August 29th. Boom. 196.
Ooh, under the 200 mark. Awesome. 196 days until Elk Season.
Remember last week when I was trying to Google it and it wouldn't pull up the way that it used to?
Yeah.
Well, it just did again. It started doing it again. But this is my laptop versus the desktop, so I don't know what that's about. I'll take it.
Yeah, you're a Windows guy. You're a Windows guy, so.
Well, that was Windows. That was all Windows.
I know. It's not. I don't have Windows.
Yeah.
I don't have Windows.
It's okay to be wrong. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I love being wrong.
I think.
Love being wrong.
Yeah.
I did see a burger from In-N-Out where it's that grilled onion for the bun.
Okay.
A quarter-inch thick grilled onion for the top and bottom bun. That doesn't look like a bad sandwich.
It's like their version of the Double Down.
Who has a Double Down?
So the Double Down was the all chicken.
Oh, that's right.
From KFC.
KFC, that's right.
So
if that ever comes around again,
we keep talking about that. I haven't seen it. But dang it, is that In-N-Out Burger trying to get me out?
I know, right?
It's officially asked me out on a date. That's what that says.
There's a guy in town, Big Mike. We live in a small town. Big Mike runs King Philly. And his wife runs Sweet Tea's Cupcakery. They did the big cake for us at the mall.
Oh, cool.
And Big Mike, you ever been out to King Philly?
I have not.
Philly cheesesteak. King Philly.
Oh, my brain was like, what's King Philly mean?
I saw him.
Hello.
I saw him at the mall, and he was talking about that sandwich from In-N-Out Burger, having this onion. He goes, so I made one, and he showed me a picture of one he made.
I bet you the one he made is 10 times better.
Oh, yeah, you can trust Big Mike.
Yeah.
You can trust Big Mike to your appetite.
I don't know Big Mike. I already trust him, but the first way I trusted it was that it just wasn't In-N-Out Burger.
Right. That's a green light.
It's a given.
So speaking of food and weight, and now it's 196 days until Elk Season.
196 days.
196 days until Elk Season, and I say this to myself, and you should all elk hunters should say that to themselves in the mirror. My Elk Season will be better if I lose weight.
All together now. My Elk Season will be better if I lose weight.
Some guys don't need to lose weight. But most guys our age probably need to lose 10, 15 pounds, if not 40 to 50.
There's always room for improvement. Many of us have weight needs.
And my Elk Season will be better if I exercise, if I work out regularly. My Elk Season will be better without question.
I've been thinking about that a lot this year. I didn't do nearly enough last year anyway. And then I had the hernia, which kind of made it difficult.
Yeah.
Not an excuse. It just was challenging. But this year I've got a game plan that I'll start.
Right.
Eventually.
Yeah. And that's my game plan eventually. Well, my game plan, I CrossFit 5 times a week.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's quite enough. But I want to pick it up and do some 2-a-days because there's nothing I say all the time. And right now we're just talking about staying fit and nutrition.
Yeah.
You can't outwork a bad diet. I've said that. but I've also said you cannot out-eat elk season.
No.
You, and that was a big concern for many years when we would go, well, I don't want to eat too much. I'm like, trust me, you are not, this is not, we have sedentary jobs.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We don't work for a living.
I was just telling my students today how I appreciate my smartwatch for reminding me that I haven't moved in like 4 hours.
Right. You need to stand up now. Oh, thanks, buddy. That's why when I go home and I have to pick up my kid at 3 from school, and the school is only 3 blocks away, but I'm like, I'm walking.
Anytime I can just add a little extra walking, I do it.
Walking is good. Even when my legs hurt. Yeah. My leg's been hurting for a few weeks, but I'm gonna walk. I might walk slow, but I always need it, and I can avoid a lot of traffic anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety around a small school, around any school when there's traffic involved.
Yeah, it's right, because I live half a block away from our school. Yeah, and any time that I can,
even if it's snowing and blowing, I'm walking.
It's too convenient to avoid the hassle of traffic.
Yeah,
and I get steps.
Yeah, and you get a few steps in. So I've been doing that, and I've been CrossFit, and I did sign up for the CrossFit Open, as I have for many, many years. The CrossFit Open is a worldwide contest in every age demographic. I'm in the now 50 to 54 category. There's a 55 to 59 category, and there's a 45 to 50 category. And so, you can measure yourself against all other athletes in the world that compete in the Open in strength, conditioning, gymnastics. There's 4 workouts over 3 weeks that we do for the CrossFit Open. I always look forward to it every year. Every year I'm always doing something drastic to cut weight because I'm always too heavy. I'm 275 pounds. I can still do pull-ups. I can still do 100 pull-ups if I had to. Maybe it might take me 10 minutes. Okay. I'll have to take breaks, but I could still do 100 pull-ups. But some of the things we did, like yesterday we did wall walks, which is you have to walk up the wall. You lay down on the floor with your feet against the wall, and you walk backwards until you can touch your nose on the wall. So your feet go up.
Oh, I got you.
And you touch your nose on the wall, and you come back down. And what am I going to do in elk season that would simulate that? Man, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But something. I mean, just getting off the ground sometimes during elk season.
There's that.
Oh, God. Am I going to make it?
Yeah, getting up on the ground backwards. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And
sorry, I'm just harassing you now.
No, exactly. I don't know what could possibly be. But there's
my understanding of CrossFit, knowing and full transparency here, never CrossFitted, don't have any interest in it.
Yeah.
But I appreciate what it does, and it's meant to just give you a randomness attack on all the different muscle groups throughout the body in the various ways to replicate, natural
activities. Right.
So
we want to do it in a safe environment where our movements are coached.
So as much harassment as I might give you, it's really just exercises that are just trying to get you an opportunity to exercise those muscles in a unique way. So.
Yeah, to be stronger and fitter and ready for elk season. But last week I talked about a fasting stint that I did.
Yeah.
And I did 72-hour fast, and then I ate 3 meals. I did a 24-hour fast. And all of this comes from the curiosity that I have from elk season. When I go hunting, I'm surprised at how far I can go on very little food.
Yeah.
How alert I am, how energetic I am on very little food.
Me too. I have the same experience.
Yeah. And it's surprising when I come back home, the scale shows it.
Yeah.
I'm eating Spam singles. Yeah, I'm eating piles of potatoes. But that wears off on your belly pretty quick. And but I've done some reading. Now that I've fasted, now I want to read about it. Go, what am I doing to my body? What is happening? You hear all these good things, but then I kind of wanted to delve into it. And I wanted to do it for the sake of weight loss. And so I'm just telling you now, I have a hybrid system. Not a hybrid. It's an intermittent fasting system I hate calling it a system. It's just a method where I don't eat for 18 hours a day.
Okay.
I only eat for 6 hours a day, between 2:30 and 8:30.
Okay.
That's all. And honestly, I don't know what to expect. I'm giving it an honest try this week, giving it 7 days. What I found when I fasted was it's pretty easy if you stay busy.
Yeah.
I mean, most of fasting is boredom.
Yeah.
It's terrible boredom. So I said, okay, well, if I wake up with the intention of doing lots, then I'll just get busy, stay busy, keep going, and don't eat. And I mean, absolute 0 calories. So I have coffee in the morning, but there's no sugar in it. There's nothing in it. I have 2 cups of coffee. I don't even have my vitamins, which have 50 calories. So, and I break my fast at about 2:30 in the afternoon, with some yogurt and my vitamins and, my old man Metamucil crackers. Those are good. You gotta do those.
That's an interesting method. My method is again, we try different things to see how it works.
Yeah.
I don't know if I didn't mean to cut you off though. If you're not,
No,
done
I'm pretty much done with that.
So I was wondering, and I should have been more. I should have checked in just a little bit more officially before I cut in. But my process is I get up, I have my coffee, and I'm not calorie counting. Other than I have a big grainy piece of toast with some butter. I might have a piece of fruit, but then I pretty much go all day.
Yeah,
and I push myself and I'll drink a lot of water.
Sure.
There might be a snack here or there, but it's never a full meal, never anything like that. But I'm actually looking for a certain feeling my body has. I'm looking for my body to go, hey, you've gone a long time without food. And there's an assessment I do when I get to that point.
Yeah.
Is this just a triggered hunger pang because something in my environment that I didn't realize made me feel hungry?
Yeah.
Or am I really hungry? And what I find is more often than not, it's been a program for me to have to eat a lunch or a snack or something in the afternoon.
Right.
And if I keep busy, as you say, so there's a correlation between both of these methods here. Staying busy takes your mind off it. And I realize, I'm not really that hungry.
Right.
And I just keep going.
Right.
And it's akin to what we experience when we're in the field out hunting. I'm just, unless I'm truly bored and I just want something to do, I'm like, oh, where's my snacks at? But I find that I push myself to the late hours of the day, so between 4 and 5 o'clock, then I start to get the hunger pangs again. And so I might have a small snack and I try to drink water and I try to keep it minimal throughout the evening.
Yeah.
And that has been beneficial at the holiday food didn't help, but getting back on track, that's been my method. And it's been very, very beneficial to just kind of push yourself to that point where you feel hungry, but to challenge yourself that this isn't true hunger. Right. It's just being triggered. And so I've gone down. I'm at 260. I was under 260 last week, but I've gone up a couple of pounds, but it's maintained. But the goal is to get things in a situation where I can start exercising more regularly as well too. So riding my bike and doing elliptical stuff is my
What I read about diets was that you can, if you fast too much, your body can go into a okay, let's store more fat mode.
Yeah.
Right. And so I feel that. So what I feel anecdotally, I haven't read anything about this, but what I feel when I go elk hunting and I'm not really that hungry and I can work really hard, I can pack out. I mean, I can do crazy stuff without a ton of food, and I could probably do it with less food. But the next day or the day after, right? When I can't stop eating. It's a
we've talked about. You've
pit.
Told me that.
It's a bottomless pit, and so I came back from packing my elk out, and I was like 12, 13 pounds down after that weekend.
Yeah,
I was down to almost 250 pounds, and I couldn't turn it off. I was just constantly shoveling, and I worry with long-term fasting because I felt that same way after I did the long-term fast. I'm like, okay, well the fast is over, man. Wow, there's just no end to what my body's craving. And so I'm like, easy, pumping the brakes on that method and really looking at it and seeing, well, it was hardest at night when I have to sit home where there's food everywhere, right? And there's nothing to do. So that's where I came up with this. I go, I'm just going to, and I know it's been successful for other people. And I'm just giving it a good honest try, and I'm just letting you know. I might do it again. I'm sure I'll do it again for another week, but I'm going to give it this one honest week, and see what it does on the scale for me. And so far, it's been pretty easy. So
just keep at it, and hope you keep looking for things that you keep finding things that help you achieve your success. Is what I was trying to say. So.
Now, but Jacobson's off his game this year, isn't he?
Oh,
I mean,
I guess.
I want to talk about food. I want to talk about food, but I also want to talk about they
elk.
they
the elk. Just for context, for anybody who might come across this, you're talking about Corey Jacobson and his Elk 101
Destination Elk version
Elk.
6, episode 6.
Yeah,
I don't have a timestamp.
I watched episode 7 the other day. Episode 8,
7, maybe.
Yeah,
7.
Episode 7 was the last one. Episode 8 dropped probably right now.
Yeah, it's probably on right now. So, and that's okay. It's good that they show that.
Yeah,
I like that they show that. I like that they show, well, here's our report for the day. Well, that's our report for the day. There's nothing to report. They're having a tough time.
Yeah.
And they're back in Idaho.
Yeah, well, and episode 7, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
They're done with Idaho.
Are
At the
they
end
really?
of that concludes our Idaho hunt, is what they said.
Wow.
So I don't know what that means. Episode 8.
And what happened to Donnie on that hunt, right? They're snowing out, and they go down, and Corey turns back and goes, "Where's Donnie?" And I can't hear what he says. But then he has that whole experience without Donnie, and then at the end, it's like, okay, Donnie's back.
Yeah, they didn't explain that.
So I worry about old Donnie.
Yeah. Maybe his motivation is different because he got an elk down in New Mexico. But
I actually, and here's the correlation. Here's the link I'm trying to make with food.
Okay.
Because at the end, they're both standing there with freeze-dried meal pouches, like, "Ooh, I'm hungry. I better eat this."
So they
before it gets
spend
cold."
10 minutes talking about the episode with these things in their hand without any hint that they want to eat any of it.
Right.
And they finish the clip by saying, and I mean this with all due respect. But if anybody has any inclination for these freeze-dried meals that we talk about on the show, we know, well, from us, they're absolute crap.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to buy into what they're. Well, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to be disparaging. It just they're standing there, not eating it, holding it. Then they're like, "Oh, we better eat this before it gets cold."
Yeah.
Did you happen to pay attention to what happened right after that?
Yeah, they panned down fast.
So we don't even have confirmation that they put it in their mouth.
I don't even think they put it in their mouth. I don't think they ate it. They did not eat those freeze-dried meal pouches. And you know what? I'm going to give them a little bit of cred.
Yeah.
A little bit of cred for not eating it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You couldn't pay me enough to say that's good food.
Yeah.
You could pay me enough not to say it's garbage.
The biggest.
If you pay me enough money, I won't say it sucks. I won't talk crap about freeze-dried meal pouches.
A dead giveaway to me was they were standing at a tailgate.
Yeah.
That was the first thing. I'm like, oh, they're at a tailgate. They're not out in the backwoods.
You can have real food if you're near a truck.
Yeah.
You can have actual food.
And that was the big thing. I'm like,
yeah.
No, I've got a cooler with better food.
I know. I see them sleeping in their tents and they're like on the ground. I'm like, dude, your truck's right there. You could have a cot. You could have a tent, the whole thing, man.
Anyway,
all right.
With all due respect, they have the sponsor, and hopefully, it's just what it is. We won't get a sponsorship from Mountain House.
I wouldn't accept it. I wouldn't accept it. I wouldn't accept it.
Yeah,
I couldn't accept it.
Me either.
There's something so good. So I came up with a better meal.
Okay.
And I don't think we've had it together, but we're gonna.
Okay.
And it's a combination of what we always have and what I had this fall up in 55, which was a can of chili.
Yeah.
A can of chili and a bag of potatoes. The gravy and the meat in the chili mixed in the potatoes.
Yeah,
I don't think we've had when we were out hunting.
No, we've had both individually.
Yes.
And it's been amazing.
Yes.
But together?
Yeah. You know, the potatoes are good, and I like throwing meat in there with them, but I would like them to have a little more gravy.
Yeah.
And a chili.
Yeah. Oh.
Man. A can of chili. I don't mind packing a can of chili.
No, neither do I. And I'm just thinking, I've got that jalapeno nally chili that I bought recently hanging out in my.
Yeah. A can of chili as gravy to your potatoes.
But
you are saving, I'm gonna say 80% on a meal. At least 80%. Probably closer to 95%.
Now here's a thought.
Okay.
The chili that Vesa makes from scratch
Yeah.
has a lot of liquid. It's more liquid to the beans and the meat.
Yeah.
So if you were to take a substantial amount of the beans and meat, and then make sure you put 2 cups of the liquid from that,
Yeah.
heat that up, and then add the potatoes out in the field.
Yeah.
So the water, it's all there and contained.
Yeah.
Sorry, and that's probably more complicated than it needs to be, because that's a lot of food once you get down to it. But
yeah. You spark ideas. And we've been doing this for 15 years, regularly backpacking, regularly packing meals in. And man, freeze-dried meal pouches are just, I think I told you this maybe last week, but even the guy I hunted with last fall, he did have a freeze-dried meal pouch, and he did eat it on the top of a mountain.
Yeah.
And he did pack all the water.
Yeah. So
okay.
Well,
I know if I have freeze-dried potatoes, I'm packing the water for that too.
yeah.
But
there's more and more products coming in the squishy bags that are more pack ready.
yeah.
Like beans, refried beans, rices, chickens.
And you can go to the Army surplus store.
Yeah, and get the MRE stuff.
Yeah, and there's stuff that's like,
it's okay. It's better than freeze dried.
yeah, for sure.
In fact, I just found
You could probably get chili packets like that.
Yeah. I just found an old package of an MRE. So I bought a case of MRE entrees.
Okay.
In 20. I think I bought these when I went up initially with you and Jared and
Charlie. Okay.
And so I bought them starting then, or it might have been 2013, but it was around that time. So but I found the last one. It's a hash brown with bacon, and you know what? It's probably still in date.
Yeah. So I just can't. I think every elk hunter that's on YouTube that takes money for those, they just lose a little bit of credibility for that.
And we mean that respectfully.
Very respectfully.
There's a lot of great
that
alternatives.
Stuff is garbage. That stuff is just garbage. Freeze-dried meal pouches.
To each their own.
Yeah. If you want to eat garbage, that's fine.
Look, if that's what I had and I needed food, I'd eat it.
Yeah.
But those are some pretty dire situations I see myself in when that would happen.
Yeah. And actually, there's more footage of us eating freeze-dried meal pouches than I think there is of Corey and Donnie.
Yeah, because we've highlighted our reactions to them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and the biscuits and gravy, and that's what Corey was holding. Was the biscuits and gravy. I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, and they're like, we better get to this.
We weren't even in elk season. To our credit, we weren't doing that during elk season. That was during camera placement.
No, it was not. That was the first weekend. That was the coldest weekend of the year.
Oh, now I'm actually remembering it. I remember now. Yeah,
and we were all the way up at the pass between Elk
the
Ridge
Ripper
and the
Pass.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still kind of lamenting my attitude that year. I didn't want to chase that bull. You have a really cool video of.
Oh yeah, that was a different year. I'm talking this last year, 2023.
I know. I'm talking about.
All right.
You brought up the place that I have a trauma memory.
Yeah.
Because I self-imposed a bad attitude about wanting to. Anyway, moving on.
That's all right. If you take the lesson, you can move on. And you've taken it.
Like I tell my students, a failure is only a failure if you fail to learn from it.
Yeah. So you learn. You live and learn. So there's lots of stuff out there. The quesadillas. The quesadillas are a grand slam home run, man. Hot and crispy and cheesy.
And they keep evolving.
Huh?
They keep evolving too.
They're getting better.
Smoked pulled pork.
The smoked pulled pork. I had sour cream. With sour cream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Sorry, I'm right there on the hill now.
Oh.
Hoping you hurry and finish yours so you can make me another one.
I know that's the problem. I cook them slow. I cook one at a time.
And I'm like, I have what I could make my own, but I'm letting him make it for me. So
and I don't mind at all. And I like it. I enjoy cooking on the mountainside. I enjoy packing all the goods. I don't even care. I That's part of the adventure. That's part of the experience. It's part of the fun. And a freeze-dried meal pouch sucks so much of that fun and adventure out of what you're doing. It sucks the adventure out of it.
It's
so
not the same thing.
That's my testimonial. That's my testimonial for freeze-dried meal pouches. They all taste the same, and they all taste depressing.
Yeah. One word about freeze-dried meal pouches. Go. Nope.
Thank you.
Nope. That was 2 words.
So we need to talk about wolves.
Let's talk about them.
We got to talk about wolves. I posted a piece of our podcast on TikTok.
Oh, yes.
And we have over 9,000 views now.
Yeah. So last week we talked about the continued evolution of your thoughts on active predator management.
What I'm calling the wolf economy.
The wolf economy.
Support the wolf economy.
So, yeah, and it's really rooted in the realities that we are facing with.
Very much.
Man's encroachment into the wildlife, but wanting to have ecosystems that have sustained wildlife species, we have to actively manage. And so this is a clever idea on how to maybe help approach that. So
yeah, and what I want to know is, and I'll tell you straight up, if there was a law, every wolf has to be checked by a biologist. Every dead wolf has to be checked by a biologist from the state of Idaho. If that biologist, say, can tag this, hey, this is from the Sawtooth Zone, this is from the Lemhi Zone, this is from the Pioneer Zone. If I knew where that elk came from,
yeah,
I would pay $1,000 for that hide. I would pay more, if I'm being honest. I would pay more money for that hide, and I would do it on an annual basis.
Really?
Yes. I would support the wolf economy.
Yeah.
That's the answer. If I can't go, and I want to go and hunt wolves on my own, but if we can't do it, the idea is we need to support the wolf economy. And the wolf economy are these guys, and the comment section, if you go to my TikTok, you see the comment section, hey, trapping takes a long time. It takes a lot of resources. There's not a lot of wolf trappers out there yet, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys out doing smaller game, doing coyotes and bobcats, raccoons and beavers. And even when I told you about my experience at Trapper Education course, they went around the room and asked how many guys, what do you plan on trapping? And most of it's coyotes, most of it's the small game stuff. There was just a small handful of guys that said wolves. And I thought, because I think about wolves all the time, that everybody thinks like me and everybody should be hunting wolves. I thought, wow, this is a lot of competition. They're all going to be hunting wolves. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not. It's just a different game. They're in such deep country. And you need to get out there. If you really want a nice pelt, I know you can hunt them year round, or pretty much year round everywhere. Depends on where.
Yeah.
But you really want to get a nice pelt. You want to get them in the wintertime. You want to be able to see their tracks. And but if there was a way to certify, hey, this came out of this zone. Oh, I would love that pelt. I would love to have that pelt and support somebody.
So you just
that's increasing elk populations where I hunt.
Yeah. And never mind. I had a thought, but
That's okay.
I'm going to sit on it.
Yeah. So I want to continue talking about wolves, but I want to throw in there the wolf economy. Yeah. And I also want to say from the beginning, I have some comments Joe Rogan made about wolves. I have some comments that Steve Rinella, Steve Rinella from Meat Eater.
Yeah,
both of those guys made some comments about wolves. And I know Steve Rinella and Joe Rogan have been hunting together before, but Steve Rinella said that they were talking about wolves in Colorado. Oh, it's a big deal. Oh, it's a big deal. He goes, wolves were already there. Yeah. It wasn't a big deal until the people brought them in, until it was voted, until it became political.
Yeah.
The wolves were coming anyway. He goes, the same thing for Montana and Idaho. The wolves were here. The wolves were already in Idaho and Montana. They already were. They would still be near these numbers now if reintroduction had not happened.
Okay.
Right? He says that.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? They would be near these numbers. I don't know if they'd be quite near those numbers in Yellowstone yet, But because Yellowstone definitely needed reintroduction, but North Idaho and North Montana, even the book that I read by Carter Niemeyer, Wolfer, he talks about, yes, there was already wolf depredation happening or predation happening in northern Montana, and he was the guy that went and investigated some of these. He goes, yeah, this is definitely wolf stuff. And Joe Rogan said the same thing. Wolves are great. I love wolves. They're incredible. They're strong. They're ferocious. They're amazing pack hunters. And this is where I've been personally from the beginning, since the mid 90s. Because people talk about wolves, I go, yeah, I remember talking about wolves in science class. I grew up in Montana. I had a science teacher in Missoula who's talked about wolves in Glacier. He went backpacking in Glacier, and he talked about, oh, it's creepy when the wolves watch you, and you're like, oh wow, there's wolves in Glacier. But nobody was talking about wolves in Glacier in 1987.
Yeah.
Right? Because it wasn't voted on. It's just dumb. Yeah. So we have this idea that we have the wrong wolf pack. We don't. There's a lot of misconceptions that the wolves are killing a lot of livestock, that they'll hunt humans, they'll prey on humans. And that is true. They will prey on humans if they're hungry enough.
Yeah. Well, what's Joker's line? We'll see how loyal a hungry dog is.
Oh yeah. And the same thing with what was the other thing?
Crap.
Yeah, I know.
It was there.
That's all right.
Roll back the tape.
Yeah.
We'll do it in post.
It's I don't know. It's lost forever now. I'll have to
roll back the tape.
Roll it back.
But it'll be after the podcast's over.
It won't matter.
But
the wolf population needs to come down. I think some of what we're seeing in Destination Elk, right, is a hint towards fewer elk. They're having a tough time finding them, and there's a lot of wolf depredation, or there's a lot of wolf predation and a lot of human predation.
Yeah.
And we need to balance that predation, and we can balance it with what I call the wolf economy. Right? We're in a love triangle with wolves and elk. We love the wolves. Sure. The wolves love the elk.
Yeah.
And we just need to balance this, and we can do it with the wolf economy. And trappers deserve to, if they're out there at great peril to themselves in all kinds of weather without backup, right? They go deep in the woods, and if you got a friend that can rescue you, that's a good friend, because they have to go very deep in. So the wolf hunters deserve to be compensated for that.
Yeah.
And so I hope there's some way, even any individual that hunts wolves in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, anywhere, if they can say, this came out of this hunting district, if I could buy the pelt straight from them, if I get on Etsy, right? If you get on a website and you go, oh, it says I'm buying this hide from this zone in Idaho or whatever, I just want to be able to trust it. I want to be able to go to the YouTube channel of the trapper and see that he lives in this part of Idaho, and see see what he's doing, and go, yeah, I want to spend money with this guy, and buy hides directly from them, because like I said, we've seen a bobcat hide goes for $600-700, and the right wolf hide will could bring more than that. Maybe I couldn't afford an elk hide, or maybe I couldn't afford a wolf hide. But I like I said in the last video, I'd be willing to get with some friends that I know who hunt where I hunt, and go, hey, let's all chip in and help these trappers out and help our elk season.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's the kind of idea I want to talk about, is the wolf economy, and how we can help support that. But I did have some great discourse, and there's a picture in the folder of a conversation that I had.
Yeah, I've got that pulled up here.
Yeah, go ahead.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, if you want to, sure.
All right. So the image is titled, "If you can't hunt wolves, then support the wolf economy." So Looks like we have a comment here that says, I should probably be talking to the mic. My eyes are old and feeble. Before the wolves, there was elk herds. Now there's very few because of wolves. That's you want me to say that? Well, it doesn't matter. And then another commenter says, before farmers and neighbors, wolves. Sorry, I'm speaking way too fast. Before farmers and neighborhoods, wolves and elk lived for thousands of years together. It doesn't matter if you don't know, it's okay.
Right, and which is a true statement.
Yes.
Right, for thousands of years before neighborhoods, and farms, the elk lived, and they did, and the elk lived with the wolves.
So
in the ecosystem.
So you reply
in balance.
You reply to that. For 1,000 generations, inhabitants of this land have killed wolves and decorated themselves and their homes with pelts, and we should too.
Right, which is also true. Now, I wouldn't call that the whole truth, and he came out and called me out on the whole truth, and which the whole truth is right, but we decimated the wolf population, and we're using firearms, not bows and arrows, to do that.
Yeah,
and yeah, you're right. I concede that point, but I'm not for the eradication of wolves. I've never been for the eradication of wolves.
We've been very clear about that.
Yeah.
We've been clear about the active management of wildlife for conservation efforts.
Yeah.
And I've come around to the idea of active predator management being necessary.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Yeah. Even though you probably wouldn't want to do it. And, and I don't know if I ever will, but I sure want to.
Yeah.
So there's some great comments and great conversations, and there are some guys that are like, and I feel bad because there's one. We talk a lot about wolves on the Elk Season Podcast.
Yeah,
and I have pulled a lot of good wolf data out of the podcast and thrown it on my TikTok.
Yeah.
So people are also going back through the other TikToks and saying, "Oh, I see this TikTok and I see this TikTok."
Yeah,
and because we talked about soon they're coming to Colorado, soon they're going to be in Utah, soon they're going to be in Arizona and New Mexico.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, and we can't do anything about it. They're in Oregon, they're in Washington, and they're very frustrated that they can't do anything about it.
Of course.
And that's frustrating.
Different states have different laws in terms of how they're regulating and managing their wildlife. Yeah. So where I think Idaho, I don't know that I have a strong opinion for anything here other than Idaho seems to be more actively managing.
So in these other states, they are federally managed. They're under the Endangered Species Act. The states cannot act to do anything. In Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming, the populations got above that threshold, and control was handed back over to the state. That's why we can hunt them.
I somehow forgot that point.
Yeah, and so it's just nobody in Oregon can do anything about it. Anything until the wolf population is at a level where they say, okay, we need to start managing this population and start bringing it down. By then, not only will wolves have come from Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming into the other states, we're going to have some good predator control practices.
Okay.
We're going to have some good predator control practices. We're going to show you how to get that number back down, how to trap them, what classes to take. There's going to be mentors that you can go crossing the border from Washington to Idaho, from Oregon to Idaho, coming up from Utah and Colorado into Wyoming and Idaho to learn about how to trap these wolves and how to manage them effectively, efficiently, and probably quickly, because the wheels of government turn slow, and so we're probably going to have a lot of wolves. But still, even the first year, we didn't even have 1,000 wolves in the state. The first year you could hunt. The first year you could hunt wolves.
Yeah.
There wasn't even 1,000 in the state.
They've been busy.
And the first year, mountain lions killed more wolves than hunters.
I remember that story, yeah.
By like 5-1.
Wow.
So we need to be active, and I think supporting the wolf economy, destigmatizing the killing of wolves by saying, I love the wolves. I think they're beautiful. I think they're great, and they're powerful, and they're magnificent. Like Joe Rogan says, like Steve Rinella says, and they need to be managed, like these people are saying. And so destigmatizing the wolf idea and then supporting the wolf economy is a big part of my personal agenda. Big part of the elk
Excellent.
season agenda.
Yeah, I don't carry the same agendas, but I can be supportive
Yeah.
of the efforts because they do seem to be pertinent to the need of active management. So,
Yeah.
and
The numbers speak well to.
And I would say if you're against it, well, what ideas do you have, right?
Yeah.
So at least there's an idea proposed here, and I
Right.
think that can then activate. I got the wrong word. That can engage the conversation, and that's what I
Right.
really like about this too.
Right.
And
If that doesn't work,
been doing
what
that.
would work? And some people go, well, leave them alone. Don't kill any. And that's certainly an option.
Sure.
It's a terrible option because the state's going to lose money. Hunting isn't just a sport. It's not just something fun for us. It drives a lot of economy from outside the state. It drives a lot of money into the state. So it's not just me personally who wants more elk. It's the state in general who wants to sell more elk tags. And it's hotels that want hunters in. And it's all kinds of money. Hunters
Yeah.
bring a lot of money. Sportsmen bring a lot of money into the economy. And if you think you're going to come here and take pictures and spend just as much money, prove it.
Yeah.
Please show some receipts and show that there's armies of you that come out to do that.
Yeah.
So, but I think we're going to end up managing them in most of the states with hunts. In all the western states, maybe not Nevada or California. They might, and in some when it's a sensitive subject like wolves, the state might go, well, we're just going to pay contractors to go in.
Yeah.
And but I have been spending a lot of time on the Idaho Fish and Game website
Okay.
with the intent of, in a few months, this is going to pay off. I'm going to know a lot about these regs. And one of the things was I saw how many wolves were reported harvested in the zone we hunt
Okay.
for last year. And was it all three of them put together was 9? Not
9
very
wolves?
many. 9 wolves
Okay.
harvested.
In our
Which-
zone.
Yeah, in our
Okay.
zone, which is probably, I would imagine, 3 to 4 different packs. I don't know. I'd have to really look at that.
And how many elk are killed by a wolf a year?
20.
Supposedly, right?
Yeah.
Estimated.
Yeah. But the zones up north are reporting like 45 wolves, right? 37 wolves, like big
Those
numbers.
are a lot of numbers.
Well, those are the ones they have. Those are the ones that have really had a tough time with the elk.
Yeah.
Right. The elk numbers are way down, and these are the areas where people are like, man, I used to come here and hunt elk all the time. There used to be tons of them.
Yeah.
And so now there's a bounty, and now there's people going, hey, let's get together and build a
Gotcha.
bounty for these wolves, and have derbies and do all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. And it was a big controversy the first time they tried to have a wolf derby.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
It
And we want to keep it low key and
civil.
and civil. Right. If it's not your thing, just don't participate.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right.
So that's some stuff on wolves. I don't know if I had any more wolf data in there.
I've got
this week.
I've got a unique wolf. I've got a Ukraine wolf story.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. We've been seeing a lot of interesting elk and wolf stuff come out of
I
Eastern
know.
Europe.
So it's a jump
Yeah.
across the pond here.
Or that's Asia.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Asia.
Europe and Asia. I forget what side of the Ural Mountains we're
Eurasia.
on. I know.
Mutant Chernobyl wolves have seemingly developed cancer resistance. That's it. I don't.
Is that the Midnight Star?
I don't know.
Is that is that the Inquirer?
No,
That
this is a real story that came out.
That's
research.
the Onion. Are you sure it's not Babylon Bee?
This was
I'm
in the
just
Men's Journal.
Oh,
So
I'm
But-
kidding. I'm kidding.
I
Okay.
just saw the headline. Be honest, it was a wolf,
I've
and I
had
thought
so
of
much-
my brother, and I thought this has got to go on the Elk podcast.
It's gotta go. I love talking about wolves. Wolves get so much cancer now they're immune. Good job,
It's
Chernobyl.
yeah, I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but
No. I'm a microbiologist. I get it.
Yeah, I've got this one you posted here. A man died from Alaskapox.
Alaskapox. Have you heard of Alaskapox?
No, but there's an Ebola line right below that one, so I'm
Yeah.
concerned now. So tell me about Alaskapox.
Alaskapox is nothing to be worried about, but it sounds cool.
A man died from it.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
The guy died from what's called Alaskapox. There's I
But don't
even
worry.
know. Don't worry. I read the story and I'm like, well, what is this threat? This is pretty serious. And it's like, well, if you meet these very, very specific conditions and you don't follow these very obvious rules, and it just happens to be this time of the year and the moon's right here, yeah, you could die from Alaskapox.
Yeah.
But I've never even heard of anybody else getting it.
Yeah, it is the first I've heard of it, to be
Yeah.
honest. So I won't get too
So yeah,
fear-mongery about
I'm
it.
not freaking out just yet.
No.
But we're all working on a bunker. Am I right?
In conservation news, though, if you want me to keep going.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much of this you might have come across when you told me that you are kind of perusing through the Fish and Game website.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, crap, that makes my Thursday newsletter.
Yeah.
What do I call it? My
No, it's still good. It's still relevant.
So I wonder how
Yeah.
much of you might come. Anyway, I think this is pretty cool. Over near Elmore County, which is near Boise,
Yeah.
Fish and Game were able to acquire a large parcel of land that's good for elk and deer habitat.
Okay.
And so they were actually able to buy 5,533 acres of land.
Wow.
And what I really love about this story is that the seller was motivated to sell to Fish and Game.
Yeah.
And
How
so
cool.
they wanted to make sure that this
Yeah.
was able to go back into the fold
Yeah.
of things. So
Yeah.
that is really cool, especially in the Boise area where it was a couple of years ago. They had a road that was blocked because somebody bought the land, and they're like, you can't have access. And
So you watch people hunt on private land like Donnie and Corey did in the first few episodes in New Mexico,
yeah,
and you go, why does somebody own that land?
yeah,
What is the point behind owning it?
yeah.
It's wilderness, and so I'm just baffled sometimes. And they
Well,
go, well, these ranches, and they're up in the mountains.
I
And,
thought the same thing when I lived in southeast Idaho. There's
Yeah.
nowhere to hunt there, it seems, because there's so much private property.
yeah,
My heart sank when I'm like, where would you go around here?
Yeah.
And it with the population not being a huge population, but the population just in general for what land is available,
yeah,
it's a nightmare scenario,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So I never hunted in southeast Idaho, but I contemplated, but I just
Yeah.
never went that distance.
I'm sure there's places you get out enough. There's guys that go out there, but it's frustrating.
There's something that is of interest, and it's going to happen soon. So when we talk about all these events that we want to go to that we
Yeah.
never do,
Yeah.
there's an event coming up on the 22nd,
Okay.
6:30 to 8 p.m. at the MK Nature Center, which I would imagine is probably up in the Boise headquarter area.
Okay.
So obviously I'm not going to be able to make it, but an evening lecture series, hunting. And you've brought this up, and this made me go, oh my gosh, you've said these words on this
Okay.
podcast. Hunting as conservation.
Yeah.
And so Idaho master naturalist and avid sportsperson Eric Keene will share information about hunting as a tool throughout history and today to manage wildlife.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like a really intriguing series to be able to go to. So it is an active hunting is an active conservation. Find out how and why. And so informative talk for hunters and non-hunters alike. So free and open to the public.
Right on. That is right up my alley. I would love to sit. I love sitting and listen to a lecture.
I might have to look at my calendar. I've got some things because that's a Friday, isn't it? 22nd and 23rd. I'm busy Friday afternoon and Saturday morning of that weekend, so I wouldn't be able to get up there. But dang it, it's free.
Yeah.
So if there's a recording of it, I'd love to watch that as well.
They might have something on the website. Some of the things I found on the website, I told you about the reservoir, Goose Creek Reservoir, I think it was, or something out there in out between Salmon Falls and Jarbidge, Nevada. Garbage, Nevada is the most isolated town in the lower 48. You ever been there?
No,
Oh.
we've talked about going out there, but
it's a
we've
fun trip. It's
never,
a fun trip.
never gone out there. So,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
go ahead.
I don't know.
Got a couple more.
Yeah.
This next one I don't have any context for, but I had to take a screenshot.
Okay.
I feel like it's clickbait. It was a YouTube video.
Okay.
And maybe it's something you might go, send me that link, I'll watch it. Because I don't know. I'm just an elk hunter, and I'm not really interested in the deer. I'm interested in hunting, but anything else, it's not a big to-do list for me. So this elk, and the picture's in here, so you can grab the information if you want to go watch it. It says here, elk hunting is a fad.
Yeah.
Elk hunting is officially a fad. Hunts you should do instead.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure that there's a little bit more of an overhype there, and I'm overreacting to it. But I just didn't feel the energy to push play.
When you have big celebrities like Joe Rogan who just talk about it all the time, he just signed another $250 million deal with Spotify.
Yeah.
He finished his $200 million deal, and now he's doing a $250 million deal for Spotify. So he's one of the most influential men in the country.
Yeah, podcasters at that too.
Yeah, and his podcast is typically top 5. I mean, it's a huge deal, and it's led to a lot of. And when you realize the adventure that archery elk is, you want to do it. When you realize, when you get up there, you do it once, you're like, oh, yeah, I could have a bad day and want to come back again. Right? And we've had those bad days, and we're like, I can't wait to go back.
Yeah. Because there's always the just what if, right?
So,
if they're not moving through today, maybe they're moving through tomorrow.
Yeah. And I watched the Idaho Fishing Game website. There's a 16-minute video on fishing etiquette.
Okay.
You ever seen those pictures of guys fishing for salmon standing shoulder to shoulder?
Yeah.
There's etiquette for that.
I'm glad to know that, because I wonder about that, because I see images and videos on the news where people are standing in like the Boise River fishing, and I'm like, what happens here if you screw up, right?
Yeah, it's great. So basically, if you have a good fishing hole, and the fishing hole of the run could be 50 meters, 30, 40 meters, and or 100 feet, and so you have 10, 15 guys lined up. They showed 7 or 8 lined up, and they explained that the person at the bottom of the hole, at the furthest downstream, casts first. Then he starts to float down, and the next guy casts.
Yeah, okay.
But they cast in rapid succession. Bzz, 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 bzz. And you wait until everybody reels back in, and then the guy in the front, the guy all the way downstream, has to wait for the guy all the way upstream to be done reeling in. And then you go again, and you cast, and they show these guys casting one at a time, bzz, 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 and reeling in. So that's interesting that's part of the etiquette.
No, I can see that working.
They had
as long as there's good communication.
Yes, and that was my 2 biggest takeaways. I mean, that was a cool takeaway. But the biggest takeaways were communicate, just talk. I know that some people feel combative. They feel like I own the shore, or they feel like there should be enough room for me to fish. Yeah. Entitlement, and they could be upset. I used to come here fishing, and it's always blank, and I can always stand somewhere. But most people are pretty nice. Hey guys, can I squeeze in here? Hey fellas, how's the fishing? Is there room for me? Maybe up here or down there? Most people are going to be pretty nice. When you talk to people face to face, most people are great. That's been our experience.
Yeah.
You look at 20 cars at the trailhead, you shake your fist and you curse, but you see guys on the trail and you're like, what's up, buddy?
Yeah.
Right? And so, and it really is that way. You're like, I wish there weren't so many people, but when you do see people, you're like, hey, we're kindred spirits, right? We're on the same page. And so it's never a bad deal. And what experience comes to mind is we showed up one night at the trailhead just as somebody was coming out.
Yeah.
And they had an encounter.
Yeah.
And they were desperate to know what our plans were.
Right.
And and they were just shaking with anxiety and anticipation.
Yeah, and I didn't have the wherewithal to think, because I wasn't trying to be dismissive or rude, but I apparently came across that way because he was pissed.
He was just emotionally
tired.
He was
exhausted,
and he was wound tight. And if I could have recognized that and go, hey, this is our plan. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna be on this, whatever it was. I'm ready to put any hunters at ease, like the ones ones we saw when we were hiking up. We're like, hey, what's your plan? And they're like, well, we're gonna do here. Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna change.
And I've had a few of those encounters. Yeah. And it's like, but that one, it bugs me. I feel like I could have done better.
Yeah.
With how, we don't have a lot of those encounters, and that was kind of dark, and it was also kind of hard to see. So it wasn't, not any good excuses here. Obviously, the next time if I can come across that, I'm just going to jump to the conclusion. You're exhausted. You might have had an encounter. Be a little more open. Be less dismissive, and that is what it was.
You know what it's like coming down that trail right at dark.
Yeah.
You are tired, ready for food, and not in the mood to have conversations, and so there's a lot going through your mind at times like that.
Sorry, different. I don't know why this is making me laugh.
Okay,
we can't.
Oh my gosh, that's full dad joke mode right there.
Sorry, we came off the mountain one time.
Yeah.
And there were some people at Trailhead, and we were done. We had been up there for a couple days.
Yeah.
And there's some people at the Trailhead, and the guy goes, "Is that your truck?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Your windows are down.
First of all, it was only one window.
I know.
Second of all, I told the wife about that story. I told that wife the story.
Yeah.
She's okay now.
Yeah.
I did, because one of the worst storms I've ever slept through in the mountains came through that weekend, and my window was down the whole time.
And it's a brand new truck. It was the first year you had it.
Yeah, it was. It's a 2017. This is 2019.
Yeah. So I was mortified and horrified. I was driving my own vehicle.
Yeah.
And I had gotten up there late, and it was when we had run into John.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
So anyway, I
was really excited, and
I'm sorry to laugh, but we're talking about coming off the mountain and having emotional experiences. That one kind of comes to mind.
Yeah, that's a good experience. I'll never live that one down. That's for sure. That's okay. I'm glad you find that so funny. I really am. Glad.
It's nervous laughter. I promise. I'm just like, because
look, that's the worst thing that happens to my truck when I'm elk hunting.
I once left my car running for like 4 hours.
Yeah. Dad's done that. He's run the whole tank of gas out of the car.
Yeah. The last thing we have here, it just says Apex belt. We were talking about fishing, so I assume that has something to do with that.
Yeah.
Now available, Apex belt.
Yeah. I like it.
It looks kind of cool.
It's a nice piece of gear. It's more for fishing.
Yeah.
But when you're fishing, a backpack is really inconvenient.
Yeah.
You really need something. And so I saw this, I go, oh man, this has pouches and pockets, and
it's basically your tackle box as a fanny pack.
Yeah. And there's room for bear spray. I bet you can throw a holster on there, and there's all kinds of. So I just like that pack.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's not. Don't call it a fanny pack though. Unless you see it on someone else.
A side pack,
and then you go, "Hey, that's a sweet."
It's a really cool waist pack. It's like having a belt for your tackle box.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's a belted tackle box.
Tackle belt.
That's good. Okay. All right.
I think that's it for me anyway. I don't have
all done. All right. That's all you had? I thought you had
we covered them all.
Wow. Okay.
Apparently I didn't have that much excitement with the ones I put in there. And a couple of them I found just right before the show. So
yeah. Well, stay tuned to the Elk Season Podcast. Keep working towards your goals. You have to get fit. Don't skip leg day. Go for a walk. Be active. Carry a backpack. Try to cook something that's not freeze dried. Just for fun. Just for practice. And really, if you practice making little quesadillas in a little tiny pan, well, your elk season is going to be so much better.
Yeah,
It is.
a little bag of tortillas and a little bag of cheese is going to last for 4 or 5 days.
And I had fresh grated cheese,
Yeah.
pepper jack cheese.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even film the fresh grating, and I should have.
And did we mention smoked pulled pork?
Oh, man. And sour cream. You can't.
I have not had dinner.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. We'll be back again next week. We got a thumbs up next week.
I think so.
Okay. No reason to say no.
Yeah, we should be good.
All right. Have a good week.